की कोई खबर नहीं है। Then the lights go down and we have a blackout. Music starts.
आज रंग है रीमा रंग है री आज रंग है रीमा रंग है ओ आज रंग है रीमा रंग है आज रंग है रीमा आज रंग है रीमा आज रंग है री आज रंग है रीमा रंग है री रंग है रीमा रंग है री ये आज रंग है रीमा रंग है री मेरे ख्वाजा के घर रंग है
Hello. How are you, Rob?
I actually received a call from Rob asking if I could take out a little bit of time to meet with two people who were here from the US. They were theatre specialists here on the Fulbright program, and they wanted to meet with a local Islamabad theatre company. And we arrived here, it was afternoon I think, and we walked into the cafe, and there were these two strangers and Rob, whom I had met before. I don't know, within a couple of minutes I think, we weren't strangers anymore.
Yeah.
Because we all sort of talked the same language. Kathleen suggested we had this idea for a project. It seemed preordained almost because, I just reacted with that's the kind of thing I've wanted to do all my life. Let's do it. So there was almost a year in which we were corresponding mostly over email with the ideas that we were thrashing out ideas, we were trying to put together a proposal, work out a budget, which was probably the hardest thing we did because neither of us had any clue as to what a budget of this sort looks like. Then the Skype conversations started. So we'd set up these times and days and then we'd talk. We started planning out the whole project that way, one step at a time.
सर मुझे प्रोफेसर सलीम ने आपकी तरफ भेजा।
ओह, प्रोफेसर सलीम ने? भाई कहो क्या काम है?
पार्टीशन के बारे में कुछ बातचीत करो।
अरे पार्टीशन के बारे में पहले ही इतनी किताबें लिखी जा चुकी हैं, भाई उसमें से और क्या निकालना चाहते हो आप?
नहीं सर, हम आपके जाती तजुर्बात रिकॉर्ड करना चाहते हैं।
अरे भाई जाती तजुर्बात सबके ऐसे ही थे, जैसे सबके थे वैसे ही मेरे भी थे। भाई माफ करना, मैं इस बारे में बात नहीं करना चाहता।
मैं राबिया नाजी इस्लामाबाद से आपसे तकसीम के हवाले से आपकी कहानी सुनना चाहती हूँ।
तकसीम, मगर इस तकसीम के बारे में मुझसे क्या पूछोगी? मैं कोई खास शख्सियत तो नहीं हूँ।
नहीं माँ जी, मैंने आम लोगों की ही कहानी सुनी है।
सच पूछो तो मैं कब से इस इंतजार में थी कि कोई आके मुझसे मेरी कहानी पूछेगा। पूछो, क्या पूछना चाहती हो?
सन 47 में जब ये वक़ूआ हुआ है तो हर आदमी को उस रात को मालूम हुआ तो दहशत फैल गई। सब जो हिंदू लोग थे वो इकट्ठे हो गए एक जगह पे, और मुसलमान, हमारे गांव जो था ना वो सारा मुसलमानों का था। वहाँ तो सिर्फ एक घर था हिंदुओं का, वो भी पनाह लेने के लिए जो अच्छा घर दिखता था शरीफ उस घर जाते उन्हें पनाह लेनी थी।
अच्छा, इसी तरह उनका जो होली का एक वो त्यौहार होता था, उसमें वो ये नहीं होता जो जिससे हम दवाई छिड़कते हैं घरों में, स्प्रे पंप, उस स्प्रे पंप में उन्होंने वो नीला पीला रंग घोल घाल के वो आते जाते बंदों के ऊपर छिड़कते थे, मुसलमानों के ऊपर भी छिड़क देते थे, कोई नाराज नहीं होता था।
उनकी शादी ब्याह में भी हम जाते, वो भी हमारे यहाँ आती, ले दे करके आती। यानी समझ लें कि उन राखी का सुना होगा, राखी बंधन एक होता है।
जी जी बिल्कुल।
तो हमारी भतीजी जो कहने लगी चले उसको चलते हैं आज राखी बंधन है, उनका कहाँ जाएगी दीदी क्या कहीं अभी नहीं, मेरा भाई बना हुआ।
It was such a complex event and it affected these societies in so many different ways that you can't really pin it down to, you know, an easy conclusion or an easy explanation. There are people who are still living with those memories. There are families that are divided, half of the family on this side, the other half on the other side. So it's just odd the way, you know, nationalism and borders and nation states played out in this part of the world. So that is what we're trying to highlight, how human lives were affected because of that process.
They arrived in the morning, jet-lagged, tired, took a little nap. Day after that, we all had a lunch, the entire team.
Right.
And that was when we all came together and introductions were made.
Hello. We're here. Hello.
Hi. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you.
How are you? All right. This is Hisham.
Hisham, that's right. That's the name I was trying to remember.
And that is Qasim.
Awesome. Nice to meet you.
That's Rabia. Ikram. Hiba.
It was meant to be an introductory meeting, and I think it was a little astonishing for all of us, the kind of conversation that started over that meeting. We all started talking about the project and about our experiences so far, and we discussed it in a great deal of detail, and we discovered how very complex this whole idea was that we were trying to work on. I think even you and Sarah had probably not looked at this whole partition story in all its complexity until we all started talking, and the layers and the layers and the layers and the layers beneath the surface of this story started to emerge. And I think it sort of blew everyone away, you know, when we discovered that the task ahead was a very, very massive one. The vision we had at the beginning was basically that we would be collecting stories of partition survivors, using them to create an original performance which will be performed in Islamabad and then will be taken to Lahore and eventually on to the States sometime towards the second half of this year. So we started looking around, asking around, seeing how many people there were who could give us interviews, and surprisingly there's a large number of people still alive and very happy to give us stories. And one of the most amazing things we've found in meeting these people is that they want to tell these stories. They're dying to tell those stories. We started taking trips to areas around Islamabad to interview survivors. We started locating people that we wanted to talk to. We started doing interviews here in Islamabad, in Rawalpindi. We didn't, of course, start off on the workshops because for that we needed to wait for the grant to come through. And we started to get a feel for the project even before the initial workshop. So we sort of broke the timeline a little, but I'm really glad we did, because if we had followed it strictly, we would not have had time to do the kind of work that we put in.
Right, and also, I think it was a happy accident, because when Sarah and I arrived in January, the group had already done a lot of interviews and had a lot of, so they could actually create monologues out of actual interviews in that first week we were together, and it's kind of astonishing what we accomplished in 1 week.
La kati kati pe goda ki dum pe jo mara toda gora dam utke doda.
कभी कभार बाद लड़ाई झगड़ा हो जाता था, मगर मेरे घर जब भी गोश्त के कबाब बनते थे, अदित्य और कुंदन जरूर खाने आते थे।
हिंदुओं की शादियों में मुसलमानों के लिए अलग खाना पकाया जाता था, लेकिन मैं चुपके से थाली ले आती थी।
जुम्मे की नमाज के वक्त तमाम कारोबार बंद कर दिया जाता।
टी हाउस, कॉफी हाउस, चाइनीज लंच होम, क्या कमाल इल्मी मुबाहिसे होते थे इन जगहों पे।
हम आज भी ख्वाब में वही जगह देखते हैं।
हम आज भी ख्वाब में वही जगह देखते हैं।
हम आज भी ख्वाब में वही जगह देखते हैं।
हम आज भी ख्वाब में वही जगह देखते हैं।
We all had a lunch, and that was when we all came together and introductions were made.
I've brought Sarah because of her expertise in something called Theater of the Oppressed, which I'll let her talk about.
What I hope to bring to this project is my experience in Theater of the Oppressed, which was created by a Brazilian man named Augusto Boal. And he really believed that everyone is an actor and can use theater to rehearse for change and to empower people. So I hope to bring some of these tools and techniques that I've learned to Theater Wallay here so that they can bring these techniques into their workshops that they will be doing at universities and colleges.
Sarah was my student. Well, she's trained as an actress as well, but specifically, she is a certified facilitator of Theater of the Oppressed.
So I'm so excited to bring this all of this great work to you guys, which I hope you can actually not just use in Voices of Partition, but also just with Theater Wallay. It's a great way to, bring acting to people who really don't have a lot of experience.
She started teaching the group at Ithaca College and had gone through the course where she created her own monologue about her ancestor immigrating to the United States from a very educated woman, but the immigration officer stamped illiterate on her passport because she didn't speak English.
I am not illiterate. Officer, I can quote poetry. I write every day. Okay, give me a piece of text in French now and I'll show you. Officer, I can name our world and myself just as you can. I have worked my whole life to get where I am today, and now you call me stupid, incapable? I will learn to read in English. With time, I will. But don't throw me in the trash because I am not like you. Fix it! Officer, please! It is a long journey, and I am cold. I am tired, and I am hungry. Listen to me, please. As a friend, as a neighbor, so as a human being. I am a hard-working, tough, smart, stubborn woman, and I will not be invisible in a place I now call my home. Sir? Officer, come back here!
It was a great workshop. And Sarah was so amazing. It was so wonderful to have her here. I really wish she could have been here for the rest of it.
Life is such a hell. Twice damned I am, for I have to live through this twice. First I was scared of the people of another faith, and now I'm scared of people of my own faith. I can't breathe again.
पानी शानी पियो जी।
मैं छुप रहा था उन लोगों से, फिर पार्टी और हमारी और भी बसेस थी और उन्होंने हमें खड़ा किया। मुझे I still remember that the buses were stopped and there was an army officer, that his uniform, and I was sitting like that. I was sitting like this and he had that weapon और वो मुझे मतलब can you imagine कि उसमें मुझे एक छोटा सा, there was a baby and there was somebody said that to kill that baby otherwise we'd be exposed.
I think it was great. I think the monologues in themselves were very, very powerful. For me, it was a very moving experience. I think some of them just came through so strongly. Oh, this is just a sneak peek. This was just a reading of some very basic things that we've written over 3 days. What we prepare in future will be much, much bigger.
लोगों के लिए मेरा ख्याल एक नई खिड़की खुली है। जो टेक्स्ट बुक में हमें एक नैरेटिव मिलता है, उससे हटकर उन्हें ये सुनने को मिला कि आम आदमी पे क्या गुजरी। तो ये वो साइड है जो हमारे आम पाकिस्तानी के सामने नहीं आ रही थी। तो जब ये चीज़ उसके सामने आई है तो ज़्यादातर लोगों का जो रिएक्शन था कि दे वर शॉक्ड।
Well, we got a pretty great response.
Absolutely.
I mean, we filled to capacity. People were really moved by the monologues, and it was pretty impressive what we managed to do in a week.
5 days actually.
Yeah,
When we
really
say
5
week,
days.
we-
Yeah.
5 days.
After that, we went out for dinner with the cast, this incredible dinner, and then Sarah and I went back, finished packing, and got on a plane.
It's like a video game.
नहीं ड्रामा कर रही हूँ।
तुम नहीं जाओगे तो रोटियां कौन बनाएगा?
गिरा दो। Stage is never an individual's work. Any kind of performance is always a team.
And we carried on. So we then started on what we call phase 2 of the project, which was to continue to collect interviews, but also to train other people to do the same. So we started getting in touch with universities and colleges all over the Punjab. So from Multan all the way to Islamabad, Rawalpindi. And that was very frustrating. Because what we found was that unless you have a personal link somewhere, nobody's interested. So we sent letters and we sent emails and we started calling people. And one of
these
the
were
first
free workshops, I have to say.
Yes, we are offering services
yeah.
that were costing these universities absolutely nothing. So one of the first universities to come through for us was NUMS in Lahore. And the reason for that was that, well, I have a cousin who teaches history at LUMS, and I asked him for a contact. And the gentleman he connected me to was extremely interested. He teaches literature, and he teaches a course on the literature of conflict in which he works with his students on the partition. So he already had a group of students, and this is a gentleman who himself, over the years, has a collection of 200 interviews of partition survivors. So he was really passionate about what we were doing, and we started to talk, and he said to us that, well, I can offer you a group of students here. And they already have a background in it because they've already conducted interviews of partition survivors. We were thrilled.
In Pakistan, everybody knows about partition. Every second, third family has been through partition. There is no event which is more important in the modern history of Pakistan than partition. And there is a huge amount of again, confusion as far as what it is that happened in 1947. Confusion in a sense that maybe for the state, it is independence, whereas what people remember is partition, and these are two different things. So what is it that the state is celebrating? The state celebrates independence.
I feel like this project is particularly interesting because, I mean, I'm a third generation Pakistani. So for me to understand and grapple with this notion of partition, it's not that simple because it's not something I experienced. It's something I've heard about over and over again. But to take on the roles of people that experience this is very interesting because it helps me look at partition in a new light altogether.
जसवंत, अरे तुम यहाँ बैठी हो? मैं कब से हमारे दरख्त के पास तुम्हारा इंतजार कर रहा था। जसवंत, क्या हुआ? तुम कुछ उदास लग रही हो। बताओ तो सही हुआ क्या है? क्या मतलब जाना पड़ेगा? किसने कहा है? देखो जसवंत, तुम्हारे बापू का अच्छा खासा नाम है, कारोबार, दुकानें, सिनेमा, कोई उनको क्यों परेशान करने लगा? तुम लोग कुछ दिन, अच्छा रोना तो प्लीज बंद करो।
घर पे सब ठीक है ना? वो तुम्हारा मुसल्ला पड़ोसी तुम्हें तंग तो नहीं कर रहा? जसवंत, क्या हुआ? तुम रो रही हो? तुम्हें याद है जब हम यहीं लॉरेंस गार्डन्स में पहली दफ़ा मिले थे और मैंने तुम्हारा बैग छुपा दिया था तो तुम कितना गुस्सा हुई थी?
कितना गुस्सा हुई थी तुम? अरे हम सिनेमा देखने भी तो यहीं से जाते हैं ना? ये तो सोचो, तुम चली गई तो मैं फिल्म देखने किसके साथ जाया करूंगा? और तुम चली गई तो मैं तुम्हारे बगैर रहूंगा कैसे?
ज़िंदगी पे असर ऑलरेडी आ चुका है। मैं पार्टीशन को जिस तरह सोचता था, जिस तरह डिस्कस करता था दोस्तों से, रिश्तेदारों से, अपने पेरेंट्स से बात करता था, मेरा टोटली कॉन्सेप्ट चेंज हो चुका है। अब मैं उसको एक ग्राउंड रियलिटी के तौर पे देखता हूँ, एक आम पर्सन के पर्सपेक्टिव से देखता हूँ, बजाय इसके कि मैं बुकिश नॉलेज की तरफ जाऊँ।
After the disappointment at one of the departments at ComSats, we decided to contact another one where I had already conducted a theatre workshop at one point. And I said, well, it's worth it, let's just give it a try. So I sent out an email to the head of department and she responded really positively, asking us to come in and meet her. And then she said, well, when can we have the workshop? We set up a time, and when we arrived there, there were a good 30-35 students there for an introductory session, which we took with them, and at the end of it, about 16 people signed up to do the actual workshop. And strangely enough, the 16 people actually did the workshop. So when we turned up a week later to start the actual work, we discovered all 16 of them were still there, which was really, really great. And that was one of our most successful workshops in terms of the number of participants and the kind of response we got at the administrative level from the students, from the faculty. And
you ended up getting a monologue from that too.
We got 2 monologues from there.
देखो ना, आपके दोस्त मेरे सामान के लेके जा रहे हैं। उनके घर में अम्मा अब्बा और आपको पता है अम्मा की चादर अब्बा वो देखो अब्बा वो गरम वाला कंबल क्यों लेके जा रहे हैं अम्मा 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 देखो ना अम्मा वो आपका कंबल उठा के लेके जा रहे हैं मुझे ठंड लगेगी रात को मैं क्या करूँगा
बाबा मेरा झूला उतार दिया उन्होंने। बाबा वो झूला भी ले जाएंगे। बाबा अपने झूला ना लिटाने दें। लेकिन अगर हम कहीं जा रहे हैं तो हम झूला साथ लेकर जाएंगे। लेकिन हम उसे कहाँ लटकाएंगे? हम ऐसा करते हैं हम ये दरख्त भी साथ ले जाते हैं। लेकिन ये तो जमीन में लगा हुआ है। हम इसे निकाल सकते हैं। हम इसे निकाल लेते हैं और इसके नीचे पहिए लगा लेते हैं।
Raven and Kathleen arrived in the morning, and in the evening we started rehearsals.
Yes.
So I think last night, which was our first show, is the only time we've been able to sit down and party together a little bit. There has been no party.
And then the day of arrival came to come to Pakistan. I had a very nice surprise. The company of Theatre Wallay got together and sang me a special birthday song on Facebook. Very special and unique tribute to my birthday. I was very touched, especially since these are people I had never met before.
Happy birthday to you,
So it was a kind of strange experience, but then the day that we arrived, I met them all in the conference room at USEFP, one by one, these faces that I knew on Facebook and had started to put names to. They walked in the door and I was able to greet them with their name as much as I could remember at that time. It's one thing if you read a biography or something in print online, it's not the same thing as meeting the person. I think Kathleen had told me a little bit about them because we had Skyped, and she tried to tell me about her experiences with the different actors and the different personalities. So I think they matched up pretty well. Some people are a little bit more quiet than I expected them to be. Some were a little bit more gregarious than I expected them to be. But I still didn't have any idea of what their talents were. The first workshop we had, the first Viewpoints workshop, we ended up doing in the basement of F10 at the Fulbright House, which was great that Fulbright let us use the space. I had no idea what these actors were capable, and they had no idea what I was going to make them do. So it was slightly awkward to start with, but quickly we began moving them around the space. I started introducing the viewpoints to them. It was a very, very successful first meeting of actors with a director they didn't know. They trusted me, I trusted them almost immediately, and trust is such an important part to creating an ensemble piece.
There's the 5 images. The first one is there's a golden band around your head, and it is attached to that cord and it's pulling you up. So it's sort of pulling you up to infinity, to heaven and beyond. So imagine that as you're standing here, you've got this force field that is lifting you upward. Okay? That's the first of the 5 images. So when I say 5 images, that's the first one you need to think of. I'll remind you a few times, but that's the first one. Second is your arms are hanging loosely at your side, relaxed, and your shoulders are relaxed. Then your legs are strong, and your feet are grounded in the earth like you're used to working in the fields. You're used to walking through the fields and working. You got those 3 images so far? 4th image is soft focus, which means no one should be looking directly at me. That's what we normally do when we're listening to a lecture or we're paying attention to a teacher. We look at them. We're looking for an answer. In this work, we're not looking. We're letting stuff come to us. We're allowing everything that's in the room, any stimulus that we're getting from each other. If we're looking at someone else, we might be missing what's coming from right next to us. So the 4th image is soft focus, okay? Soft focus, in other words, using your peripheral vision and almost as if you could see behind you. Almost like you can sense what's behind you, above you, below you. And then now put your hand on your heart. And the 5th image is that you have an open heart. This is to remind you have an open heart, which means you have a willingness to participate. Okay, so those are the 5 images. So when I say 5 images, just go through those. Golden band, arms hanging at the loose arms, strong legs and feet, soft focus, open heart.
Freedom is open in India. In Karachi, capital of the newly created Muslim state of Pakistan.
The one difference was, and we don't have a script. So we have 3 weeks and we don't have a script. So, or maybe almost a month. And so that made it a little more challenging, but not impossible.
In order to start working on the script, we broke the structure of the play down into 5 main sections. And in addition to those 5 sections, we have a prologue, which is going to be, once everything else is established, we will go back and work on the prologue, sort of a pre-show. At least we're thinking that's what's going to happen. And then from the prologue, there's going to be an introduction section, which sort of sets up the interview, setting up some of the exposition. And then we move into the body of the play, and I broke it into sections of life before partition. Sort of, we've titled them each. So this one is The Gathering Storm, which is things that are happening, that something's coming. And then this section is the actual event of partition, midnight, August 14th, 1947. Then there's a large section, migration, and then life after partition. And you can also do that. Think of, and what we did was from all the interviews they've gathered, they've selected monologues and descriptions of monologues, and they decided where the body of those monologues would fit, and stuck them up here and color-coded it. It's a little like project management. Breaking down, because this is a collaborative effort, everybody collected monologues, the interviews separately from different locations, and what we're trying to do is bring all of those ideas together before, and then sort of distill out of that the material that's going to make up the play. And so this is the beginning of that process. This is more surreal than the first one.
I just feel like the luckiest person in the world because I'm working with some of the greatest partners I could hope for.
My name is Bond, Samad Bond. Actually, my name is Mohammad Usman Khan. I have always wanted to act. This is my debut performance.
अबू जहल दे सालिया तेन इंसाना दी ज़बान समझ नहीं आती ना मैं तेरी ज़बान दी गल करना एक तो तू मेरा वजू ज़ाया करा छोड़े ते दूसरी गल ए वे मैं कित्थे छुपावांगा इनू ये विच देख लेने शर्मा जी बैठे ने तू भी आके नाल बैठ जा जहल इंसान ले भी आंख डिगी करके देख ओ तेरा मसला की है ओ तू चाहना की है कसम चाहो एला कसम चा लेने अल्लाह दी कसम मेरे घर च एक हिंदू नहीं है केड़ा वक्त आदमी है मगज के बांटे भरे ने और तेरे के लोग होंदे ने बादाम खांदे ही उल्टी कर देंदे नहीं समझ आई ना हां अकल वाली गल जी हजम नहीं होंदी ते और यार खुदा दा वास्ता है किसी और की जिंदगी जाके अजाब कर मेरी नमाज़ां दा वेला निकल रहा है हुण तेरे नाल मुंह मारी तो बाद पूरा गुस्सा करना पड़ेगा हुजूर नाल गल नहीं पड़नी मेरी जा जा ओ गल सुनी अपने घर जाके देख ले उथे ना हिंदू बड़े होण
Dismissed a line. Something that stood out for me as a teacher was when I was interviewing Babaji at Khuri, and this guy was a phenomenal person because he was a teacher. He had taught like 3 generations, and during this time period, he told us how he molded the lives of so many people. He told how his father helped rescue around 40 Hindus while a mob. Sadly, a Muslim mob attacked his village, and that was truly inspirational. It just restored my faith in humanity. My monologue on Khuri Baba was based on what his father accomplished. I used traits from his personality, and I assumed that his father would have reacted in a similar manner because, of course, his father isn't there.
The lights are working. Yay. You might want to just check.
तुम्हारा मुन्ना दिखता कैसा होगा?
उम्र देखो मेरी, अपने ही घर में चोरों की तरह मैं खिड़की से कूदी और तुमने मेरे मुंह पर थप्पड़ मारा।
My name is Mehreen Mughal. I'm a costume designer, and beside that I'm into the makeup as well.
I'm not going to prompt from now on. If you have a problem, we just improvise.
My name is Duab Sar. I am the stage manager here.
I'm Zainab Hassan. I am in charge of all the props. I'm the youngest member.
Hi, this is Hera Muzaffar. I'm the costume designer.
डेविड अब हमें इतना कुछ सिखा रही है कि नेक्स्ट फंक्शन जोन से बिल्कुल इजी है हमारे लिए।
I'm Mustafa Hassan. I'm doing sound design for this play by Theatre Wallay, and I've done it before as well.
तुम्हारे महल चौबारे यहीं रह जाएंगे सारे, अकड़ किस बात के प्यारे, अकड़ किस बात की प्यारे, ये सर फिर भी झुकाना है।
लूट मार जो शुरू हो गई, कत्ल-गार्द शुरू हो गया, तो हमने उनको कहा कि भाई हम आपको छोड़ेंगे, स्टेशन पे छोड़ आते हैं ताकि आप ये कत्ल होने से बच जाए। जायदादें तो इधर ही रहनी है, इसको तो उठा के नहीं ले जानी उन्होंने, वो खुद तो जा सकते हैं लेकिन इसको उठा के तो नहीं ले जा सकते। तो इसी तरह उधर मुसलमान भी, वो उधर बड़ी बड़ी हवेलियाँ छोड़ के आए, उन्होंने उनकी जायदाद उधर कम नहीं थी।
चाची का एक बच्चा था, वो मेरी दादी ने गुरवा दिया मेरी भैन ते।
गुरवा की दिता
भी छुट दे या रो रहा मरवा देगा या बच्चा भुखा रोवे था।
किते सुटे उन्होंने
आंदे वे झाड़ा मा
तमी ओथे
जंगल में दे तो छोड़ता सही, जंगल में छोड़ दिया। मेरी माँ न मेरी दादी ने न मेरे दादे ने कराया, कहे नु सुट देगा है जीजन नु कहा बिन सुट दे या मरवा देगा पानो।
ते बीमारी है फैली है ना, हज वट पाउंदा पेट में बंदा खाता, वो बीमारी हज वट पाउंदा। उस तो बाद महीने तो बाद जनाब आ गया जी आर्डर, चलो पाकिस्तान गड्डियाँ ट्रेन लग गई। पहला आर्डर होया जो पैदल काफिला जाना पैदल जा सकते हो साढ़े को बैलगाड़ी आई असा क्या कि पैदल जाओ
क्यों? अरे पूरा ट्रक आया है तो कम से कम मैं अपने जहेज का सोफा सेट तो जरूर लेके जाऊंगी। इतने खूबसूरत विक्टोरियन डिजाइन के सोफे चंडीगढ़ में होंगे, अलीगढ़ के, ऐसे कैसे छोड़ जाओ? नहीं भाई, अरे जगह क्यों नहीं है? क्या पूरे मोहल्ले के लिए एक ट्रक? कसम खुदा, बिस्तर पर रखने की भी जगह नहीं है। और किसका सामान ठूस दिया उसके अंदर? और इस मोहल्ले में है भी किसके पास ऐसा सामान जो वहां जाके नहीं ले सकते? नहीं भाई, मैं तो अपना सामान लेके जा रही हूँ। क्या मतलब? सामान नहीं है?
जो बोले सो निहाल, सत श्री अकाल। जो बोले सो निहाल, सत श्री अकाल।
भटके रहेगा हिंदुस्तान,
लेके रहेंगे पाकिस्तान।
पाकिस्तान का मतलब क्या?
ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह।
मुस्लिम है तो
ईद पे आओ,
मुस्लिम है तो
ईद पे आओ।
अजे आखां वारिस शाह नूं कितों कबरां विचों बबूल ते अज किताबे इश्क दा कोई अगला वर्का
इसे मत मारो, इसे मत मारो। मैं तुम्हारा मजहब कबूल करता हूँ, मुझे मत मारो। लाइन।
इस अंधेरे में सब कुछ सुर्ख हो
इस अंधेरे में सब कुछ सुर्ख हो गया। चाचा का 5 से लाल मुंह, इसकी मेहंदी लगी दाढ़ी, सब। वो 10 आदमी इस अकेले पर टूट पड़े, 10 तलवारें और 1 नहरताल। मैंने सोचा शायद वो इसके लच्छे चुराना नहीं चाहते। तभी मुझे अंदाजा हुआ कि वो तो इसकी जान के दर पे थे। मैं इसी खिड़की से देखता रहा, एक स्टूल पर खड़ा। चाचा झुका रोता रहा, मिन्नतें करता रहा, गिड़गिड़ाता रहा, और वो इसे मारते गए। उन्होंने इसे गिरबान से पकड़ा और इसकी पगड़ी दूर उछाल दी। उसकी पगड़ी नाले में गिरी, खुल गई थी, लेकिन बिखरी नहीं थी, यूं जैसे लच्छों की तरह। मुझे मत मारो, मुझे मत मारो, मैं तुम्हारा मजहब कबूल कर लेता हूँ, मुझे मत मारो।
This project, I'd say that it definitely has had a very, meaningful, deep impact on my life as well. In a way that I come from, a 3rd generation of partition survivors as well. So I know what my grandparents went through, and I had the chance to talk to people in my own family, and other than that as well. And it's just absolutely incredible to see that you were still living it. And this one time I remember we were interviewing this woman, and she just said that this is one very meaningful line, I think, that she's like, what have you done with this country?
हर कस्बे में हो रहे हैं, रोज कहाँ पहुँचेगी? मुझे लगता है मुझे फैसला कर लेना चाहिए। फैसला कर लेना चाहिए।
People suffered and worked. People sacrificed so much so that Pakistan could exist, and we want the world and people in America to know that this was a difficult time, but in spite of everything, thank God for everything they have here. Each one of you has a very unique shape for your character, that you're all individual, different kinds of migrants, okay? Fizza comes in, she walks straight down, very slowly.
They're such a terrific group and so willing to work that I think I successfully introduced these ideas to the point where when we started the process of staging, I would have a vocabulary to share with them. I could say, we need to work on the tempo of this piece and look at your spatial relationship in this piece. We need to expand this. There's one piece of staging in the show which I call the wedge, and it's where the migration, where I'm trying to communicate the migration in a artistic way. And I would say, because they had this viewpoints training, it was very easy for me to put that together in a short amount of time, and they grasp it immediately. You'll see as they come in under blue light, a small group of actors, 11 actors, is able to create the image of thousands and thousands of people.
सोना लेने मारे पी गए, सोना लेने पी गए, अरे मोरा सोना कर गयो दे, सोना सूना कर गए दे, सोना लेने हो दयारी मारा पी गए, मोरा सूना कर गयो देश, सोना मिला ना पी मिले, मोरे धौले हुए गयो के सोना मिला न पी मिले, मोरे धौले हुए गए के सरिया सरिया ढोला आवो ना पधारो मारो देश।
अब मेरा मोनोलॉग जो था वो बुनियादी तौर पर एक ऐसे साहब की कहानी थी कि जिनकी ट्रेन पर इस पार्टीशन के सफ़र के दौरान हमला हुआ और उनकी फैमिली जो थी वो सारी की सारी उस हमले में मारी गई, लेकिन वो साहब सर पे कोई चोट लगने की वजह से बेहोश हो गए इस हमले के शुरू में ही, और रात के वक्त में किसी वक्त में ये हमला हुआ। जब वो होश में आए तो वो कुछ घंटों तक उस रेल के डब्बे के बाहर पहरा देते हुए रहे, ये सोचते हुए कि अंदर ख़वातीन जो मौजूद हैं उनकी हिफाजत वो कर रहे हैं। और जब रोशनी हुई और उन्हें इल्म हुआ कि वो सब लोग जो उस डिब्बे के अंदर थे वो ख़त्म हो चुके हैं, वो उनके लिए बहुत बड़ा शॉकिंग वो था, और ज़ाहिर है उनका दिमागी तवाज़ुन पे भी उसके असरात पड़े। ये कहानी हमने अपने बुज़ुर्गों से सुनी, उन लोग साहब को हमने घूमते फिरते रेलवे स्टेशन के आसपास देखा अपने आबाई शहर में, तो उस हवाले से उनकी स्टोरी पे मैंने बेस अपना मोनोलॉग तैयार किया था।
अरे बहुत दम है इन बाजुओं में, जितने काटे हैं इतने और काट सकता हूं। क्या लेने आए हो? कुछ नहीं है हमारे पास, छोड़ आए हैं सब। अरे उसी फाटक वाली कोठी, इसकी डेवड़ी के साथ बरगद था, ये बड़ा बरगद है, के नीचे अलिया की चौकी और उसकी लाठी। अरे शुजात अली खान तो क्या अलिया की लाठी चलाने की हिम्मत नहीं थी। समझते क्या हो? इन हाथों ने तलवार नहीं चलाई तो क्या, इनमें खून तो वही है, जलालत अली खान का खून, एतमादुद्दौला जलालत अली खान।
The play I depict 3 characters. The woman's story on the train, that's a monologue that I wrote myself, and that's my own maternal grandmother's story. However, the woman
with respect to the coffee house and the woman packing the luggage. These were roles that were assigned once the team sort of sat down and David decided how to sort of break all the characters and space the play out.
And yeah, when they got out, there were a lot of people. Sorry. So,
we all wanted to be able to tell from this play is the sentiment, sharing the sentiment of those people who went through that journey. And this is just an hour and a half that we spend telling a compilation of stories, but there are people who spend days on a train, not knowing if they're going to make it to their destination, people who lost their families and their loved ones. And the fantastic thing is how they've been able to normalize their lives.
The thing is that this story is something that was that really touched me and really inspired me. So for me, working on this piece was just if you really get into that character, if you actually go to that place where that person once was, it all just becomes easier. And it's last night I actually cried on stage.
ये मेज़ बिल्कुल वैसी ही है। मेरे बच्चे अभी बैठे इस पे खाना खा रहे थे। अम्मी, हम देख के आते हैं बाहर क्या हो रहा है। अमजद, इतिहास।
ये दाग दाग उजाला, ये शब गजीद सहर, वो इंतजार था जिसका, ये वो सहर तो नहीं। ये वो सहर तो नहीं जिसकी आरज़ू लेकर चले थे यार कि मिल जाएगी कहीं न कहीं फलक के दश्त में तारों की आखिरी मंजिल। कहीं तो होगा शबे सुस्त मौज का साहिल, कहीं तो जाके रुकेगा सफीना-ए गमे दिल। जवां लहू की पुरस्रार शाहराहों से चले जो यार तो दामन पे कितने हाथ पड़े। दयारे हुस्न की बेसब्र ख्वाबगाहों से पुकारती रहीं बाहें, बदन बुलाते रहे। बहुत अजीज थी लेकिन रुखे सहर की लगन, बहुत करीं था हसीना ने नूर का दामन। सुबक सुबक थी तमन्ना, दबी दबी थी थकन।
It's theirs now. That's the thing. Leaving, but inshallah we will all see each other again. In the US.
It's America next! Wait for us, we're coming!
Voices of Partition is a journey through shared experiences and narratives. And the reason why the U.S. Department of State has decided to fund this project is because it brings together film and theater and the visual arts from the United States and Pakistan. And ultimately it helps the newer generations have a broader understanding of the past. And of course, through artistic collaboration, it brings the United States and Pakistan closer.
Their work was the first theater I'd ever seen in Pakistan, and I can't wait to see more. Really proud to be Pakistani here, really proud to see such beautiful theater.
बहुत अच्छा प्ले था, इसका थीम बहुत ज़बरदस्त है और इस तरह के बहुत से और प्लेस करने की हमें ज़रूरत है क्योंकि ये हमारी तारीख़ का ऐसा हिस्सा है जिसके बारे में हम लोग बात नहीं करते, जिसको हम याद नहीं रखना चाहते और एक किस्म की एक एमनीजिया है पूरी कौम का। मुझे बहुत पसंद आया कि ये हर तरह की चीज़ इन्होंने इसमें इंक्लूड की and in such a short while and all of this is based on real stories.
कि इसमें कोई उस किस्म की बातें नहीं की गई जो बिल्कुल एक तरफा हों। इसमें जो एक सूरत हाल थी उसका काफ़ी ऑब्जेक्टिव मतलब ये पेशकश थी।
बड़े इनोवेटिव तरीके से किया गया, एक बहुत सिंपल प्रोडक्शन लेकिन इफेक्टिव, और द एक्टिंग वाज आल्सो वेरी गुड। So I really congratulate the whole team, theatre wale, for bringing this production.
Fantastic! I did not see one slip.
ये सारा जो सीन था, it was beautiful.
मैं समझता हूँ कि इस ड्रामे में किरदारों ने इंसाफ किया है, तमाम की तमाम कास्ट ने इंसाफ किया है इस प्ले से।
ये सब वो सच्ची कहानियाँ हैं जो मैं बचपन में सुनता हुआ बड़ा हुआ हूँ।
Along with the lines, the delivery, the emotions, all the drama, excellent.
Thank you very much.
I cried during this play only because I was thinking that our forefathers and everybody, they sacrificed so much for this country and what we have done with it.
मुझे बहुत ज़्यादा अफसोस के साथ कहना पड़ता है कि हम ये चीज़ देखते हैं, हम अपने बड़ों से सुनते हैं, लेकिन उसके बावजूद भी हम इस चीज़ को महसूस नहीं करते कि ये मुल्क क्यों और किस लिए हासिल किया गया।
देख के यूँ ही लगता था जैसे हम उसी दौर में पहुँच गए हैं, और वैसे ही वो सारी चीज़ें हमने फील की, देखी, लिंक बहुत अच्छे थे, और ये जो आपने थोड़ा सा एक लाफिंग स्टफ रखा हुआ था उसके अंदर, मतलब दैट वाज गुड।
I thought it was so powerful and I kept wishing it wasn't true and that it would go away. It had that kind of an impact.
I think this was the best play I've ever seen. It was a play on my emotions. I was crying, I was laughing, alternatively it was incredible.
We need to know where we come from. People seem to forget, that our ancestors struggled and fought for the independence that we got, and people take this country for granted. And maybe if we learn from our past and from our ancestors, we'll do better for ourselves in the future.
उसमें सबसे बड़ी मुझे चीज़ पसंद आई जो वोकल था और जो उनका एक्टिंग थी, that is beautiful.
It is excellent. मैं तो रो के जा रही हूँ. It was very touching, very very emotional. And I can relate to it because मेरे बड़े भी वहीं से आए हुए सारे।
ज़ाती तौर के ऊपर मैं ये कहना चाहूँगा कि जो मायार था अदाकारी का, ड्रामाई तश्कील का, उसमें भी कोई कमी नहीं थी। हम लोगों ने बहुत एंजॉय किया।
I think there are many. This country is now full of managers and leaders and directors, but there are not many artists who can write, who can direct, and who can act these things. I think we need it.